Tonja Brown, followed by Ty Robin. And Ms. Brown has handed me something which I distributed and placed on your desk.
Good morning. My name is Tonja Brown. I am an advocate for the innocent. I'm here to request from you, the Washoe County Commissioners, 3 things. 1, to have a grand jury panel to investigate the District Attorney's Office under NRS 199 crimes against public justice regarding the case of Nolan Klein, their practice and policy of evidence handling, such as but not limited to the withholding of evidence from defendants and their counsel, having access to the evidence after trial with no accountability for DAs when the evidence is returned missing. 2, I'm requesting to have a special prosecutor brought in. 3, I'm requesting to have one of your Washoe County deputy sheriffs to assist me in making a citizen's arrest, NRS 171.126, arrest by private person for the murder and conspiracy to commit the murder of Mr. Nolan Klein. NRS 199.260, neglect or refusal to receive person in custody. I'm basing my citizen's arrest on the following. Mr. Klein's appeal from his 1989 conviction was still on appeal in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals at the time of the September 20th, 2009 death. The Attorney General's office filed motions to have his case dismissed because he was now deceased, and the federal courts granted it in 2010. Subornation of perjury and several other statutes under NRS 199, crimes against public justice. Mr. Ron Rachel, former ADA and now U.S. Attorney for the murder of Mr. Nolan Klein. Mr. Rachel, 25 years ago, intentionally defied a court order to turn over all the evidence in Mr. Klein's case. By the withholding of exculpatory evidence, Mr. Rachel sent an innocent man to prison wherein Mr. Klein died. Just prior to Mr. Klein's death, Judge Adams ordered Mr. Gammick to turn over the entire file. Over 200 documents were found in the file, and Mr. Rachel never turned over to the defense. All of the evidence that Rachel turned over was established within 3 months after Mr. Klein was convicted in 1989, and none of these 200 documents were turned over to the defense by Rachel. Subornation of perjury and several other statutes under NRS 199, crimes against public justice. Mr. Gammick and Mr. Helzer conspired to conceal Mr. Rachel's crime. They conspired to commit the murder of Nolan Klein. 1 year prior to Mr. Klein's death, Mr. Gammick and Mr. Helzer were notified that Mr. Klein was going to be appearing before the Pardons Board on October 29, 2008. Mr. Gammick and Mr. Helzer knew that Mr. Klein's health was failing. Mr. Gammick gave an interview regarding Mr. Klein being considered for a pardon. Again, Mr. Gammick lied to the public about the facts of this case and disclosed that they had opened up the DNA and tested it. The information from that interview is what resulted in Judge Adams ordering Mr. Gammick to turn over the DNA test results and the entire file in Mr. Klein's case in June of 2009. On October 29, 2008, Mr. John Helzer appeared before the Pardons Board representing the DA's office. Mr. Klein's attorney informed the Pardons Board that Mr. Klein has always maintained his innocence and he was dying. During Mr. Helzer's testimony before the Pardons Board, Mr. Helzer continued to tell the Pardons Board that Mr. Klein committed this crime and he won't admit it.
Thank you very much. Your writing is part of the record. It's been accepted.
Mr. Helzer went.
We'll pass it on to the
Guy Felton. I publish websites including justicefornolanklein.net. I haven't been here since 2009 when I was wrongfully evicted, i.e. thrown out in violation of the United States Constitution and our guarantee of free speech. Continuing Tonja Brown's
kindly address
presentation.
your remarks to this commission.
NRS 171.126, arrest by private person. A private person may arrest another, 1, for a public offense committed or attempted in the person's presence. 2, when the person arrested has committed a felony, although not in the person's presence. 3, when a felony has been in fact committed and the private person has reasonable cause for believing the person arrested to have committed it. NRS 171.132, person making arrest may summon assistance. Any person making an arrest may orally summon as many persons as the person making the arrest deems necessary to aid him or her therein. NRS 199.160, procuring execution of innocent person by perjury or subornation of perjury. A person who by willful and corrupt perjury or subornation of perjury procures the conviction and execution of any innocent person is guilty of murder, which is a category A felony, and upon conviction thereof shall be punished by imprisonment in the state prison. 1, for life without the possibility of parole. 2, for life with the possibility of parole with eligibility for parole beginning when a minimum of 20 years has been served. 3, for a definite term of 50 years with eligibility for parole beginning when a minimum of 20 years has been served. In RS 199.260, neglect or refusal to receive person into custody, every officer who in violation of any legal duty shall willfully neglect or refuse to receive a person into his official custody or into a prison under his charge shall, in a case where no other punishment is specially provided by law, be guilty of a gross misdemeanor. Ray Child's handwritten notes defying a court order and evidence he withheld can be seen at www.youtube.com /B equals MS9 J6QEXTWW.
Time has expired.
I have no other say.
Thank you. We'll close public comment and Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next item is Commissioners, Managers, announcements, requests for information, topics for future agenda, statements related items not on the agenda, any ideas and suggestions for